Einstein said, there's a way to do it better. Find it. And our today's guest found the best way around. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to yet another episode of F&B Talks powered by the Restaurant Times. I am Prachi Ahuja, and today we have with us Pallavi Agrawal, founder and CEO of Ghost Stops. Ghost Stops is a hostel chain that offers the best options for backpackers, or I'd say youth solo adventurer to travelers, for cheap hostel stay room booking online in India. Pallavi herself is a big travel enthusiast and inspired by Europe's hostel culture, curated this amazing chain of 32 backpacker hostels across 29 travel destinations, including Rishikesh, Mussoorie, Manali, New Delhi, Agra, and many more. Welcome to FNB Talks, Pallavi. It's like my pleasure to have you here, and great leaders and inspirations like you always inspire us here in our community.
Thanks, Prachi. Thanks for having me on the show. It's a pleasure and a great opportunity to talk to people. Thank you so much.
All right, so before we move on, Pallavi, I would really like to know what led to this introduction of a backpacker hostel chain in India, or how did you get this idea of starting Ghost Stops?
So, Prachi, I was traveling in 2011 with a friend who was on a budget. He used to do a biannual trip to Europe because his girlfriend was Polish. So he used to go and she was studying. So he used to travel from India twice a year to meet her. And on one of these trips, he asked us whether we wanted to come along. We just said yes. And we didn't know that he's going to put us up in hostels. I had no idea what hostels were up till then. I only knew about hostels from some of the horror movies that I'd seen where people die in hostels. So that's all I knew about hostels. But when I stayed in these hostels across 5 countries in Europe, we stayed in about 15 odd hostels across these 5 countries. And I absolutely loved it. The star feature for me was the community, which is that you get to meet other travelers and share your travel experiences, also travel together to certain sights and sounds of the place, which was absolutely amazing. And I thought India is got such a huge youth population, and we still don't have a hotel which the youth can call their own, or we don't have any accommodation solution which is designed for the young people of the country. So with that thought, I came back and I said, that's what I want to do. And I quit my job. I loved what I was doing. I was a consumer behavior researcher.
Oh, amazing.
Yes. Um, it was a tough decision, but this was such an important thing for me to do that I quit it. It took me some time. It took me some push also. My mother pushed me that if you don't do it today, when will you do it afterwards? So I just quit my job and I started the first hostel in Varanasi. And today we are at 33 hostels across the country and still growing strong.
Thank you so much, Pallavi, for the amazing insight that you gave. So, coming on to my first question, the hospitality industry was affected a lot and faced a lot of challenges during the pandemic, as we all know. Tourism almost just, vanished from everywhere. So, how did you overcome those challenges during the pandemic, and how did you not only keep, Ghost Stops afloat and running, but also managed to double your properties during the second wave with 5x jump in the revenue? That's so amazing.
Yes. So, Prachi, I think it like they say, it takes a village to take care of a baby. Same is true for a company. We just happen to have lovely stakeholders with us, right from our investors to our team, as well as the property owners that we work with. So when the pandemic happened and when we all went into lockdowns around March of 2020, all the stakeholders came together in order to make sure that we tide over this difficult time together. So a lot of our property owners waived off the rentals because they knew there was no business coming in. But we were also very, very careful that we have to take care of the properties and keep them maintained, because I think a lot of players during the lockdown faced a problem where the properties were closed for a very long time, and as a result, the asset depreciated. We didn't do that. All our properties had teams staying inside, taking care of the properties on a regular basis, day-to-day basis, as if the guests are there and staying at the property. So we were cleaning it up, we were maintaining it, we were getting the services done, pest control done, things like that done, so that the properties can be launched as soon as the lockdowns are lifted. Similarly, our investors guided us a lot during this time, besides financial support, so that the company could stay afloat. Um, we were also very careful that we wanted that the teams on the ground team level, which is at the actual hotel level, who were the worst affected because hotels were closed and a lot of people lost their jobs during that time.
Mhm.
We were sure that we wanted to keep our teams well remunerated during this time. So we kept paying their salaries and kept maintaining the properties. So I think as an entire, organism and all the stakeholders in it, we all came together and made sure that we sort of braced ourselves and got over this tough period. We also knew that we were catering to the young people who are 18 to 30-year-old, and we knew that as soon as the lockdowns are lifted, they'll be the first ones to start traveling. So that's exactly what happened. September, August, when the lockdowns were lifted, we started seeing our hostels getting filled up again. In fact, we started seeing that most of the people were staying longer than before, because people were working from home. So they were being very careful that after being indoors for 5 to 6 months, when they get out, they at least stay out for a longer period of time and don't go back home to aging grandparents or parents and spread any infection if they catch anything during travel. So we saw a lot of responsible behavior like that from the young travelers as well. And they started staying for a much longer period of time in our hostels. We also started following all the COVID protocols in order to make sure that we reduce the possibility of infection. So those are the things that we did. And at the same time, we realized that real estate had become, people had abandoned their lease agreements, and hotel owners were looking for operators who will take over and start running properties. And we realized that was our time to take more and more properties up so that it benefits the landlords as well as us in terms of creating more hostels and creating a profitable venture for the landlords as well as us. So that's the time period that we utilized to expand, and we are still doing that.
This is amazing to know. Absolutely deep insights that we have. So, coming on from a question that you said, to keep up with the challenges and trends, one has to keep experimenting and, of course, evolving. So, the pandemic introduced the changes, not just in people travel plan, I'd say, but also in the working atmosphere, as you said. Since working from home is gradually becoming a new norm these days, and many people are opting for this change in the scenario. So, what and within this context, people find a home away from home. And I think that food here plays a major role, as home is where, the food is. So what do you think about the role of F&B, or I'd say the role of food and beverage in making Go Stops a success hit?
So Prachi, we look at F&B slightly differently. You're absolutely right that food is an essential part of accommodation.
Absolutely.
Especially when people are staying for a longer period of time.
Mhm.
Our food offerings have been very different from the very beginning, because we wanted to run a uniform food offering across all our branches.
Mhm.
The same menu is available across all our properties, and it's available 24/7. So
Okay.
most of our food is food which is sourced mm, from centralized kitchens and then transported to most of our centers.
Mhm.
These are either frozen or retort packaged food, which is prepared in the best of facilities across the country and then frozen and sent to our branches so that we can revive it at the click of a button and serve the same consistent dal makhani or the same consistent butter chicken or the same consistent kathi rolls across all our centers. So that is something that we were doing back then also, and we continue to do the same. The food has been tailored to the requirements of the young people because, like I said, young people are 24/7 creatures. So they like to eat all the time. I
Correct.
think if I look at my sales data, most of the people eat at night. So they are very happy to connect with new friends, chill in the common area, and order a meal at 12:30 in the night, which is why midnight deliveries in big cities is such a big hit. So that's exactly what we do. Our cafes are also 24/7. And you can have a pizza at night or a plate of momos or Maggie or biryani or any of the combo meals that we have, which is available 24/7 to you. So these are some of the things that we took care of just to make sure that, food is a big glue. People bond over food. So food is
Correct.
there all the time.
This is outstanding to know that you maintain a consistent, experience all around. So this brings me to my another question from you. Like, of course, I'm very much sure that customer satisfaction is everything when it comes to the hospitality industry. And Ghost Top has been able to successfully serve more than 5 lakh guests as of now. So how do you ensure a consistent guest experience with minimal cost, as I can see? And also, how do you maintain a uniformity in each of your stops, as you said?
Right. So I think L&D, learning and development, is the key to trying to do that. We're still work in progress. I don't think we have achieved everything. We work hard to listen to what the customer is saying. When the customer is upset with us, we try to take a learning from it and implement it in the form of SOP changes or policy changes.
Mhm.
The key here is to constantly listen to what the customer is saying, to constantly understand where the consumer is happy and what they're not happy about, to make changes to the product on a real time basis instead of delaying it for later. I think those are some of the important things when it comes to trying to deliver a product which is loved and liked by the consumer.
Mhm.
So that is something that we constantly do. We ensure that there are multiple channels of communication through which the consumers can reach out to us, not just reviewing us, but call us on our central number or call our quality assurance team or write to us, and we're always prompt in replying to them. That allows us insights into what's working for the product and what is not. Basis that we try to change whatever is not working or improve upon it. And like I said, we are still work in progress. Um, that is how we do it. And once the changes have been implemented, we have a great learning and development team, which converts these new policies into standard operating procedures, which are then shared with our teams on ground through training sessions. And that's how we try to roll these new policies out.
Great to know that. Uh, I just built a new question out of this question, Pallavi, that choosing a location, I'd say, for you would definitely play a very and a really integral or an important part for an experimental travel brand or for any business of that matter, I'd say. We could see that Ghost Ops is currently, functioning in so many locations successfully. So could you tell me what goes into the consideration for while you are selecting for, a location, or maybe how do you select a location for a stop?
So, see, we are primarily present in metros and big leisure destinations at the present moment. So, there are some standard leisure destinations which people like to go to, which is something which is easily available in the public domain to look at. And the youth has a reason to travel to most of the big metros because either they're part of the gig economy or they have their own startup or their clients are present in these big metros. So as a result, these are the two main locations that we work at, which is the big leisure destinations as well as the big metros. That's our initial bucket of locations, at about 150 odd locations that we can look at in the coming few months. Within a city, how do we choose the location? So if it is, let's say, a city like a Delhi or a Bangalore or a Bombay, we try to be in a place which is close to a metro or close to public transport, so that it makes it easy for the young people to travel from one part of the city to the other while it's easy on their pocket. Rather than taking like a taxi or a cab, it should be very simple. There should be frequent buses or metro or autos available, and most of the important areas should be around, is what we try to look at. When it comes to a leisure destination, we try to be near again most of the attractions in the city, but not really inside the city, because we want the young people to be able to enjoy these leisure destinations for the views that the leisure destination offers.
Absolutely.
For
Mhm.
example, if we're in Masuri, we would like to be in a place such that they get the gorgeous views of the Dehradun city, or they have the clouds rolling in. So that location becomes very important, even if we are not exactly on the mall road, right? And we know that young people enjoy that feeling of being on their own in the evening, looking at the vistas and chatting with their friends. So that is something that I keep in mind. What is the view from that particular building when it comes to a leisure location? So the view becomes very important. The other thing is, obviously there should be one chai ki dukan, sutte ki dukan, and some grocery stores so that they can all go and bond over a cup of tea or a cigarette or a packet of chips. So that is something that we tend to take care of, that these things should be around.
This is gonna be like my favorite answer of the entire interview then. So this brings me to the next question, which I'm very curious to know about. So with all these interesting insights into the F&B segment, into the hospitality segment, I'm definitely sure that it takes a lot of time to curate a menu while you are selecting the menu, you're selecting the items. So I'm very much interested in knowing, how do you select the items for the menu? And you know, you told me that the food is constant for all these stops that you have. How do you maintain that uniformity in all the stops?
I think selecting of the menu is an extremely difficult task,
Exactly.
and it is a science, quite frankly. And the software that we use for our food inventory management, which is I don't know if I can name it, but yeah, the software that we use is Posist, and it allows us to look at what is selling and what is not selling, so we can re-engineer the menu in terms of the time of the day when it is selling, what is moving, what are the items which are not moving, what kind of margins are we making. So it's really science in terms of what is working and not working on your menu, and you need to look at the numbers constantly to re-engineer the menu. Besides that, you need to constantly look at what are the consumers saying, and you have to understand what is your age cohort. Now our age cohort is 18 to 30-year-old young people, so we have to have some basic understanding of what do they like. Would they be, for example, would a young person be happy to have malpua? I don't think so. So if I put malpua on my menu, I am heading for disaster, right? But my young person will definitely want to have a brownie with ice cream. So uh, some basic understanding of the consumer is essential when you're curating the menu. On top of it, you may best late plans also sometimes don't work. So as a result, you need to keep looking at what's moving and what's not moving to keep re-engineering the menu. And I think whatever software you're using to track your sales and movement of inventory really helps you in making the right menu for the people. And when it comes to providing a consistent delivery of the food across our properties, mechanization of the food revival, or sourcing of the food material, that becomes extremely important. So who are your partners in terms of your food sourcing? How are you reviving it? What technology are you using? What kind of equipment are you using, so that it is the same revival process across all the properties? I think that becomes very important. Layering it with obviously learning and development, so that constantly you're upgrading the skills of the F&B team, that they're delivering a consistent plated food experience is an important thing.
So this is amazing answer by you. Gave me another question itself. So what do you think in these days the role of restaurant technology is? Like,
Oh, huge, huge. Like I said, um, restaurants now are a science at the end of the day. It is beyond the point where it is design and creativity and understanding of the consumer. Everything else has to be tracked through technology. So we are using technology at each level, of right from our supply chain management,
mhm.
to our inventory management, to our restaurant management tool, which is basically allowing us to invoice and track our margins and our recipes, to actually understanding what's working, what's not working. It's all done through technology. And then the final bit of technology is obviously the kind of equipment that you're using within the restaurant. It's not just good old stoves which are being used. There are smart ovens, there are commercial microwaves, there are air fryers, there are induction cookers. All of these things are being used so that the best meals can be prepared in the most cost effective and time effective manner. So technology through and through.
Absolutely. I really agree with all the what you just said beautifully in words. So at the end, I'm very, very, very curious to know that, is there any new initiative or any new international plan of expansion that has you've been lately working on for Go Stops?
No, we intend to right now expand within the country. India is a huge country with marvelous places to travel to, and there's a lot of ground to cover. So we're going to focus on India at the present moment. We have just started expanding in the south of the country, and we intend to increase that footprint and hopefully then move to the northeast. That's our plan.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for your time, Pallavi. It's always amazing to have inspiring leaders like you here in our community.
Thanks, Prachi. Thank you for having me.